Happy Halloween from Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review the producer's cut of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Terror never rests in peace.
Directed by Joe Chappelle, starring Donald Pleasence, Paul Rudd, Marianne Hagan, Mitchell Ryan, and George P. Wilbur as Michael Myers. This movie takes place 6 years after the events of the previous film. Jamie Lloyd is now suddenly 12 years older, now has a child that she gave birth to at an altar. She escapes this cult lair, and now Michael Myers is back and he's on the hunt for both Jamie, the baby, and the rest of his family. And or just some people who live in his house that aren't his family. Before we get into things, we are talking about the producer's cut. We're not gonna make too many comparisons to the theatrical cut, like that has a bunch of different kills, a completely different ending. There's a bunch of differences, but we're talking specifically about the more culty version of Halloween 6. I can't imagine that anybody watching this hasn't seen number 6 or potentially this one. So we're going to be talking spoilers. It's pretty old. We've got to vent a little bit. So what do we like?
Surprisingly with the producer's cut, I really like that it went back to its roots in the idea of having John Carpenter's theme play throughout the movie.
And this did capture a lot of the mood of the original as well, because even the first kill in the movie kind of very reminiscent of Bob's death from the original, where he takes a step back, cocks his head a little bit and admires his work. There's a little bit more stalking from Michael Myers as he's kind of creeping through Haddonfield. And there's more of that classic Michael presence than we found in both 4 and 5. The return of Donald Pleasence as Loomis is always fun, while he's still a weird doctor who's got all these crazy ideas.
I had surgery, plastic surgery, skin grafts. It cost a fortune, but at least I don't frighten people anymore.
I liked that Paul Rudd was in this movie. It's always fun when like big name actors start off in horror, and I like that he was Tommy Doyle. To have grown-up Tommy be reintroduced into this film and be played by Paul Rudd, like I thought he was great. The way he moves and looks, he can be creepy but cool at the same time.
I won't let anything happen to you.
He's definitely creepy. He's been spying on the Myers house for who knows how long, and he's snapping shots of Kara, I think. Probably forever.
He's just gathering all his evidence because he's waiting for Michael just...
You're gonna leave. I'm gonna unconnect this and get some evidence of my own.
We're gonna talk about this in the dislikes, but I can appreciate that they tried to give us some type of closure from the 5th one. The story itself may not be praised. I do like the fact that they were like, you know what? We're just gonna try and give some exposition.
It's necessary. Whoever did number 5 fucked with everything. It was just like, good luck, everybody. See you later. Now, what didn't we like? I hate this story. I hate the Curse of Thorn. I just really, really dislike it. It's Michael's baby. Michael has sex with Jamie Lloyd, and so the bloodline is still his, which means he has to kill his own baby.
The baby is yours, isn't it? Isn't it, Michael?
There's tons wrong in this film when it comes to the story. Continuity alone with how characters age and what actually is 6 years and what feels like is like 30 years. It's just, there's a lot wrong with it. I get that they were given the 5th film and said, we need an explanation for why these things happened. And I just feel as though it's the classic ideas on a dartboard, the whole aspect of it being a cult. It's like they were like backpedaling every time. It's like, oh, let's make it that the whole reason Michael kills is because we cursed him. Oh, that didn't really work out. So maybe if we backpedal a bit, like let's make it so that it's just Michael's family. Oh, but now we're introducing people who aren't in Michael's family.
Right, maybe it's also the Strodes living in Michael's house because apparently they're completely oblivious of the massacre that happened.
I really didn't know that Michael Myers lived in my house, okay?
Yeah.
Which they shouldn't be because it was their own potentially daughter? Who is Laurie Strode in comparison? Foster daughter? In any case, they shouldn't be living in that house. It was abandoned just a couple years ago and now it's all fresh and clean and there's a whole family living in there. 2 families, I guess.
I hate when we try and like make sense of horror movies because you know you're not watching it for that, but you need to have some kind of consistency in here. If you're trying to explain what happened in the very first film, technically 4 films later, because we cut 3 right out, you need to cover your tracks. And I felt as though they did not cover their tracks at all. Someone had an idea that they threw the dart, it hit a spot, and they wrote a scene. And then they're like, well, this doesn't make sense with the first one. Like, nobody went back to watch the first, the second, the fourth. They watched the fifth because they got the Men in Black right, but they just needed a really good reason for why the Men in Black was there. And the best they could come up with was a cult. And the cult wasn't even a good idea.
Hello, dear.
Maybe this one should have been in my likes. I liked how Paul Rudd showed up at a random bus station and there's just like a trail of blood that everybody is completely oblivious to. He follows it down to the women's washroom and finds a screaming baby in a cupboard. As if not one person that entire day had gone to the washroom and heard a baby.
There's so many things to point out in this film that were just wrong.
When that woman brings the axe with all the stuff down to the basement, she comes up with laundry. She goes upstairs, she looks back downstairs, and it's the stuff, but minus the axe. It's like, wait a second, no, that basket is downstairs. Michael went downstairs, grabbed the whole bucket, brought it up, must have placed it down, then grabbed the axe, and then was going to kill her. And don't get us started on Michael's ability to do a bunch of different things really quickly in a short amount of time.
Michael clearly trained with Goku and could do the instant transmission, as he can like zap himself from one place to the next, because the whole Barry death scene was downright stupid. The build-up, that was cool, but how do you explain Michael killing John Strode in the house and then finding himself conveniently in one of the Smith Grove's vans?
If you think about the timeline here, we've got two people at this fair or whatever the hell it is. They're going half a mile to their house, the Myers house.
How far to your house, Jerry? About half a mile.
Michael Myers is in that house, kills somebody, disposes of that body, goes back to the fair, hides in that van, kills Barry, strings him up in a tree in the middle of this big festival thing. Nobody sees it. And he warps back 4 minutes later. We assume that the couple had really quick sex.
He stood in the shadows, watching through the windows as his sister and her boyfriend made love.
And why were they having sex anyway?
And when we return, we'll be coming at you live from the Myers house.
They had to run all the way home, and they thought they'd have time to have sex and have a shower after lighting 15 candles? What the fuck is going on? So not only is Michael Myers warping all over the place, everyone's warping all over the place.
How far to your house, Jerry? About half a mile.
Good, I'll meet you there in 5.
Again, it's the dartboard effect. Someone threw a dart and they had creepy girls singing song about blood in the rain.
It's warm.
It is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, probably. But man, it didn't make any sense. But I mean, the whole cult thing didn't make any sense either. This is not even like something too crazy. But this one didn't make any sense. Imagine somebody that you've worked with closely retiring and then coming to your house and saying, hey, I'm retiring today. Now you take my job.
Sam, I want you to come back to Smith Grove.
And you've already been retired for 6 years? And then you saying, sure? What? You're an 80-year-old man, Loomis. And Wynn just comes to your house like, I'm retiring, I don't need this. And Loomis is like, yeah, I don't need this either, but I'll take it.
How do you explain that Loomis, his entire career, has studied Michael, has worked in this asylum, this place that Michael's been in, where conveniently cult members just walk the hall and there's a whole like ceremony station in the basement?
They're not very inconspicuous. They're not dressed like fucking nurses. They're dressed like
Vampires.
like yes, like vampires with big ass shoulders. I did like that Paul Rudd was wearing that costume, just walking down the hallway.
You have the producer's cut where they wanted to make it more story driven. You have the theatrical cut where they want to make it more gory. You push that all aside, you have your exposition, and at the end of the day, it's not good. It almost ruins an iconic character by making Michael just a product of a cult instead of a boy who is just pure evil.
Well, thankfully, there's H20. It helps. It's one of the best in the franchise, and it forgets all about this shit. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Halloween 6 is my least favorite film in the entire franchise. I hate The Curse of Thorn. I don't like that it was brought into this. It ruined Michael as a character so that they were forced to change the timeline. It's frustrating. The cult aspect can work, but you can't just introduce it so far into a franchise. The story is just bad. The continuity is ridiculous. It's like from scene to scene, you just have to say, say, well, they fucked up, but let's see where this goes. But you do that so often. You're just like, well, okay. Sure, we'll take it. But man, they fucked up a lot of shit, and I just didn't like it. I did, however, appreciate like some of the throwbacks to the original. I like the way that they captured Michael Myers, and I do think this is one of the better portrayals of Michael, but in like a really bad setting. And that's unfortunate. So I'm gonna give this 1.5 Barry Kicks Ass shirts out of 5.
At the end of Halloween 5, we had a lot of questions and we were looking for answers. So we got Halloween 6. Did we get the answers we wanted? Not necessarily, but I will give them some credit in the sense that they tried. I actually liked the way that this film was paced, and I enjoyed the cinematography and the sound design. I thought everything in this film aesthetically was well done. I enjoyed that aspect way more than the 5th one. If I had to choose between which two to watch again, I would probably take this one because there were some elements that I did like. I liked Paul Rudd's character. Of course, we're gonna love Loomis and Donald Pleasence's performance. And Michael just seemed more to his roots in this one than he did in the previous 2 films. However, the obvious is there, and the Curse of Thorn and the whole story is downright terrible. It lacks continuity. It has you questioning more than actually giving you answers. The questions you're asking are more of a, is this really happening? Did Michael have sex with Jamie to make a baby? But you get some kind of closure, and it was fun to watch, especially seeing Paul Rudd in this one. If you're in it for the story, then watch the producer's cut. If you want to see some flashy kills, go see the theatrical cut. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2 idiotic ways to take down your sold sign out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And happy Halloween, everyone.
Enjoy them candies.